and the weather has dropped a ton, and that means we're getting ready for Christmas. What we usually do when we're getting ready for our Christmas parade, because the parade passes right in front of our house, is we'll do a big bonfire outside, and I make wassail. Now, wassail, and I actually had to look the history up because I had no idea. I knew it was a traditional English Christmas punch, but I didn't know why. Think of it as mulled cider. All right, so that's what we're going to make. We're going to make mulled cider or wassail. Now, I'm going to start with a gallon of apple cider. Now, don't get apple juice. Get apple cider. And the only difference between the two is that apple juice contains just the liquids. When you make apple cider, you leave everything in there. All right, so it's got all it's going to look muddier, but it's texture and body and flavor, and it's just delicious. All right, so apple cider. Now, apparently, in England, in southern England, and the word wassail comes from wassail. Wassailing was a tradition of toasting the trees in order to ensure an apple harvest. And it turns out they literally would toast the trees. There'd be a wassail king and a wassail queen, and everybody would march around and toast the trees. And this was when they made wassail with ale. But everybody would go out to the orchard and soak toast bread pieces in their wassail, and then somebody would go hang it in the trees. So you were toasting the trees, literally. All right, so I've got a big old bucket, big pot, and I've got my gallon of apple cider. You can make smaller amounts if you want to. And to mull it, mulling just means you're going to heat it, not boil it, but heat it. And I've got a very tough lemon. Here we go. And not a very sharp knife. You're going to heat it at a relatively low temperature for a while. I have no idea. 3 what? My kid is trying to give me signals. I don't know what it means. So we're going to heat it at a low temperature, and basically, if you think about it as making a tea, then you're kind of on the right track. You're going to steep your ingredients in your hot apple cider. All right, so what are our ingredients? All right, we're going to use a couple of cinnamon sticks. You can use ground cinnamon if you want to. This just makes the whole thing easier later. We drag the pot outside, set it next to the bonfire, and have it outside. This way we don't have to mess with straining it out or anything. But you can certainly, if you want to, go right ahead. So a couple of cinnamon sticks. And then I have nutmeg. And I will say, I've always preached using fresh nutmeg. I'm out of fresh nutmeg. And the other flavors in this are so strong, it's okay. It's still pretty good. Now he's writing me a note and holding it up, but I can't read the notes. All right, we also have allspice. That was about a teaspoon, okay, of the nutmeg. I want about a teaspoon of allspice. You really want these warm, rich, somewhat sweet winter flavors in there, but you don't want anything to dominate. We're getting close to memory is what it is, so I'll hurry. Okay, so cloves. You don't want to kill it with the cloves. So I'm only using 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6. And here's a trick so nobody ends up drinking a clove, which I'll tell you is not very pleasant. 2 oranges. Stud your cloves down into your fruits, okay? And I've also got a couple of lemons. That way they are not nearly as likely to get lost in your beverage. Here we go. And nobody will bite one. Not pleasant. All right, that's all we're going to put in there. So I'm going to take this to the stove. I'm going to bring it up and let it simmer for about 20 minutes, okay? And I'll probably upload my memory so my son quits freaking out. Alrighty. That's heavy. We've been mulling. Now, if you want to taste, well, actually, not if you want to, taste it. Different ciders are going to have different sugar content, and a lot of it has to do with how it's packaged. Some of it has to do if they've added sugar. Some of it has to do with the apple harvest from that particular year. So if it's not as sweet as you would like, add 2 cups of brown sugar or so until you get it to where you like it. You can also put it in a big pretty punch bowl if you have cups and that sort of stuff, because we're taking this out to the bonfire though. I'm going to use mason jars, and I'm going to leave it in my pot so it'll stay warm next to the fire. Okay, mason jars. Let's see, Ricky, can you bring the camera over and let's see what it looks like on the inside here? Let me see if I can share this the right way. Can you get it, buddy? Just pick the whole thing up. There you go. Can you get down in there? You see what it looks like in there? See? Your little fruits and stuff. And that is beautifully mulled cider, or wassail, whichever one you want to call it. It's hot, hot, hot. Since it was snowing this morning, that's just about what we need. If you like this video and you want more great tips, tricks, and techniques, check out the website at thrillbillygourmet.com. You can like me on Facebook under The Thrillbilly Gourmet, and you can follow me on Twitter under Jan Charles or The Thrillbilly. I'm on Pinterest now too under Jan Charles. I've also got 2 brand new podcasts, both of which you can find on iTunes. The Thrillbilly Gourmet and The Food City Kitchen on WVLT with Chef Walter Lambert and Jan Charles. Now, make sure you subscribe, and you can ask a question, you can leave a comment, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for visiting.